Fala aí rapaziada, como é que vocês estão? Eu espero de coração que todos vocês estejam bem e meus amigos, estamos começando mais um vídeo no canal. Jorlan VIEIRA posta shape nas redes sociais e diz que está com saudade dos palcos. Será que veremos o All Day competindo novamente em breve? Terrick é o guinde fala sobre Ramon em podcast gringo e diz que quem pensa que ele é apenas hype está muito enganado e exalta o brasileiro em comparações com o Sebum. Tudo isso e mais no vídeo de hoje, então já vai deixando aquele like que ajuda muito na divulgação, se inscreve no canal ativando o sininho e bora começar!
Amigos, e bora começar o vídeo de hoje falando sobre a contratação do Ninja Bodybuilder pela Integral Médica. Fazia algumas semanas que o Ninja havia anunciado a sua saída da Adaptogen e muitos já imaginavam que a Integral era um possível forte destino para um dos atletas mais fortes do Brasil. E isso realmente aconteceu. O atleta foi anunciado ontem em um vídeo no canal no YouTube da empresa e chegou com a moral alta. Afinal, hoje muitos consideram ele o fisiculturista mais forte do Brasil. Enfim, rapaziada, quem será o primeiro atleta da Integral a puxar um treinão com o Ninja? Essa eu quero ver. Desejamos ao atleta uma boa sorte nesta sua nova jornada e comentem aí, rapaziada, o que vocês acharam desta contratação do Ninja pela Integral Médica.
Mudando de assunto, agora vamos falar sobre o Jorlan VIEIRA, ele que recentemente postou esse peitoral melhor lado nas suas redes sociais e o cara tá gigante. Na legenda de sua postagem, o Jorlan comentou: "Saudade do palco, que comece a semana". Nos comentários da postagem, o Jorlan aí foi bastante elogiado e como sempre, né, a galera pedindo o retorno dele aí para as competições, né, profissionais. No meio do ano, muito se especulava a participação do Jorlan no Muscle Contest Fit Pira, que vai acontecer em novembro. Porém, o campeonato já está se aproximando cada vez mais e aparentemente o Jorlan não está se preparando para nenhum evento neste final de ano. Eu acredito que se virmos ele competir novamente, vai ser realmente apenas em 2023 e olhe lá. Afinal, o Jorlan será embaixador do Ironberg CT de Brasília, que será montado por lá e deve supervisionar de perto o que estiver rolando por lá em 2023. Mas enfim, amigos, vocês gostariam de ver o Jorlan voltando aos palcos? Comentem aí e bora continuando os temas de hoje.
Amigos, e bora terminar este vídeo de hoje com um trecho do Terrick participando de um podcast gringo e falando sobre o Ramon e o Sebum. O vídeo está com a legenda automática do YouTube, então algumas palavras acabam não saindo 100% corretas, mas eu acredito que vocês vão entender o contexto. O Terrick faz algumas comparações do Ramon com o Sebum e manda a real para quem acha que o Dino é só hype. Confiram aí o corte replicado pelo canal Sangue Marombeiro.
Classic physique division. Classic physique has been dominated, absolutely dominated by Chris Bumstead, but there's a new guy on the scene, guys, that is a powerhouse that everybody's talking about, Ramon Dino.
Yes, a lot of people talking about Ramon Dino, and they're talking about, is this guy for real or is he just hype? If you think he's just hype, you need to wake up. This guy is the real deal. He placed top 5 in his first Mr. Olympia. He went to the Arnold Classic and he placed second place. He surpassed Urs Kalinsky and he surpassed Brian at the Arnold Classic. He only has 2 guys ahead of him right now. One of them is this guy here by the name of Sebum and Terrence Ruffin. When you look at this guy's physique, you got to take in consideration he's in his mid-20s and his arms are big. If there's one thing that we talked about Chris Bumstead is that maybe his arms were not up to par to his physique. Everything else is just unbeatable. But even Chris has admitted, hey, I could have bigger arms. Well, this guy can attack Chris on that department. The second thing is these pictures are from last year's Mr. Olympia. This guy has been making tremendous improvements. At the Arnold, he looked bigger, thicker, and more conditioned. And if he continues to do that, he can be the challenge against Chris Bumstead. Terrence a little smaller, great poser, he's dense, but look at the height. They're kind of like the same height, same prototype. And if you look at the back double biceps, Chris has thickness, but Ramon is a guy that if he's conditioned, he has the detail. What do you think, Chris Cormier?
Yes, he does have the detail. He does have the thickness, and like you said, the height, Terrick. The arms are the one thing. I think also, if he just improves some of his posing, there's just the technical things you want to do with the posing. Let's say like the side chest. The side chest, he's not taking advantage of his physique in his pose. Chris hits the perfect side chest. That's the perfect side chest. That's the pinnacle of what you want to say.
Pulling that back pec around to get all those great striations in, to get that depth.
Yes, and if you notice, elbow to elbow, you can set up your frame and show that you have a wide frame. Dino right there is not taking advantage of that. His arm is kind of straightened and just pulling around. Nothing's set in stone. You can see the way he's grabbing and clasping his arms. The fingers are all out of whack. I just don't want to have anything from your head to your fingers to your toes. Everything matters when you set up a pose and try to be, extraordinary in that pose.
Now, you set from the ground up, quad to quad, from the calves to the quads and hams, we're pretty equal.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to have to say that if you look at the definition of Chris Bumstead, separation of his glutes with his hamstring is superior than Ramon. Now, Ramon is very close. And I remind you guys, this is Mr. Olympia 2021. He has made improvements since. Now, let me go here and invade Chris Cormier's territory. That's fine. Just walk away when I arrive. I like this. So, if you look at the back, this is a shot that Chris is dominating. Look at the hamstrings right here, those lines on the hamstrings. Ramon is missing that. He's improving. Now, Ramon has the detail on the back, and that was his biggest improvement at the Arnold Classic. But one thing that Chris has done, and remember when you and we used to pick against Chris and say he needs to beat Brian on the back double biceps. Look at his back double biceps right now. It's thick, it's broad. I just think that we can add a little bit more detail. Do you agree with me, Chris?
Yes, and then you can see he's taking full advantage of his height and the shape of his body. He's leaning back a little bit, as you could tell from the lower back down toward the judges. But he does have, an extraordinary difference from a few years ago.
I got to come over the top on this one. Sebum's back looks like the topographical map of Canada. It's phenomenal. It's defined. If you were to look at that pose and strip away the skin in an encyclopedia, remember when they used to have the clear plastic that would go over the body and you'd look through to the intestines and the muscles? That's the musculature system of a perfect built back. He's flawless. I don't know how anybody is going to beat him until he decides not to be beaten.
But also I think in this pose right here, Dino, if he's not so concentrated on his glutes, contracting his glutes, he can get a little bit more definition with just that, not doing so much and pulling up on that hamstring and getting some more tension there. He's losing the tension in the hamstrings because he's concentrating on his glutes so much.
You said that about some of the open guys too, as if they would get a little more adamant about their foot position and flex their hams. But how much more, anybody know how much more weight he has to pack into his frame?
You're talking about Sebum or Ramon?
Sebum's got to be maxed out.
No, actually, I talked to Sebum, and he has the ability to gain, I think, 1 or 2 pounds. Ramon has the ability to gain 5 to 6 pounds.
Ramon is up to 260 pounds. I looked on his Instagram.
He is massive right now, massive.
260 pounds.
Yes.
And he's very hard. He got a nice condition.
Yeah, he's massive. He might not make weight. Now, one of the things is I saw these guys this year. I went to Brazil and I shot a video for Olympia TV. Get my plug in there, Olympia TV.
That was subtle.
The link behind, okay? The link underneath it below. I shot with Ramon in Brazil. And like you said, he was thick. He's bigger, okay? So Chris might not overpower him anymore. What I think Chris still has is that muscle separation of beating that body more years than Ramon has.